Assalamu alaikum, Masā al-Khair. Good evening. My name is Imam Suih. I'm a neurosurgeon and we are transmitting live to our international audience from the Farah Medical Campus here in Amman, Jordan. The topic for tonight is leptomeningeal cyst. And leptomeningeal means the meninges, dura, arachnoid, and pair. This is a disease that happens after a fracture in infants and children below 3 years of age. It's rare. For all the fractures, it's up to 0.6%. But the knowledge of it is the most important. So when we have a child who had a trauma, most of the trauma to children is through falls, followed by motor vehicle accidents, accidental struck on the head, and assaults and child abuse. So falls mainly at home in the schools. And the common story is a toddler who fell off the bed or the cot, climbing Mount Everest. So all these accidents may lead to a fracture, and if we're not careful, this fracture may lead to leptomeningeal cyst. So what's the mechanism? The child is subjected to this trauma through a fall or whatever. There is a linear fracture. Usually it's a bit wide. Associated with the fracture is a tear in the arachnoid and the dura, which is not recognized. And also with it some damage to the underlying brain. The pulsations of CSF at the edges of the dura and the bone will cause the fracture sides to sort of widen, so the bony defect will develop. There will be focal dilatation of the lateral ventricle and progressive enlargement of the cyst. So that's the mechanism. Again, in summary, a fracture, dural laceration or tear, CSF accumulation in the cavity which is lined by arachnoid. CSF pulsations will dissolve the bone, and the time sequence usually between the trauma and developing of the cyst is 2 to 12 months, usually 2 to 3 months. Why children? Because the dura is adherent, very much adherent to the bone, not like adults. There's not some space in adults or loose attachment. But in children, the dura is very adherent to the bone. So when there is a fracture in the bone, most of the time the dura is lacerated. And there is no frontal sinus to protect the orbits. And the skull in children can be deformed. And when it is deformed, then the tear can happen in the dura. So that's why children are the ones to be affected. So this is the story. A child has fallen. There's a linear fracture or fracture through the suture line. And this is how it looks. So this is the bone, this is the fracture, and this is the tear in the dura. Sort of benign course, but sometimes this benign course tends to be aggressive. So the edges of the fracture gets widened, like this. A patch of arachnoid goes in, and the pulsations of CSF will dissolve the bone, it will dissolve the dura, and cause bony defects. So this is the pouch, dissolving the dura. So how it starts, and then it divides. So this linear fracture becomes wider. That's why it's important to follow those kids who had linear fracture, to follow them 1 or 2 months later to make sure that they don't have this diastasis of the fracture line. So the bone is absorbed completely. And this cyst lies underneath the pericranium. Look at the defect. Look at the suturization of the bone, beveling. And sometimes there is atrophy of the brain there, and the cyst communicates with the ventricular system, and it gets larger. Bone completely reabsorbed or vanishes. That's why it's called skull disappearing syndrome or skull growing syndrome. This paper from Turkey about this what I said in children. This is how it starts as a small linear fracture, and then the cyst enlarges as such. Another paper from India showing you this huge leptomeningeal cyst developing after a linear fracture. Again, this is a disease of toddlers and young children, and if the fracture line is going through a suture line, it will cause it to widen. This is from Romania. So what you get is arachnoid or meningeal cells covered by pericranium. This is the edge of the bone. So these are the different names for the leptomeningeal cysts. Post-traumatic growing skull fracture, because the edges of the fracture grows. Post-traumatic disappearing skull syndrome, skull is disappearing. Post-traumatic bone absorption or resorption. Post-traumatic arachnoid cysts. Post-traumatic encephalomalacia. Craniocerebral erosion, pseudomeningeal all are the same like leptomeningeal cysts. Sites, common sites, frontal bone, parietal, occipital, styrofossa, and orbit. Do we have it in adults? Yes. There is a group of people, adults, who develop leptomeningeal cysts, but usually these people had had head injury as children. It was missed and they just continued to grow. So these are the papers from Japan. Adult traumatic leptomeningeal cyst. You can see the bone is disappearing gradually. Another paper about an adult leptomeningeal cyst. Again, look at the bone absorption there. Further case of adult leptomeningeal cyst. You can see the amount of bone resorption. That's why it's called skull disappearing syndrome or skull fracture growing syndrome. A special type of this leptomeningeal cyst is completely intradiploic. It is within the bone. This is a rare variant, but it's the same mechanism. So the whole cyst is within the bone. Here is the most important thing, is the differential diagnosis. What is this? Could it be other type of lesions or not? Intradiploic, it starts like this, it ends like this. From Turkey. Intradiploic, again, starts like this, goes like this. Intradiploic bone resorption. Signs and symptoms of these lesions. Usually patients come with headaches, ataxia, sometimes there is features of communicating hydrocephalus. And when you examine them, you'll find the swelling in their scalp. This is swelling is soft, non-pulsatile, it is in subcutaneous tissue. Sometimes they have focal deficits. And this is the most important, seizures. Seizures happen in 50% of leptomeningeal cysts because of the underlying brain injury. And if it goes into the orbit, we will have some ocular manifestations. So if we get some case with this leptomeningeal cyst, what's the differential diagnosis? We have to be careful. Sometimes arachnoid granulation, especially in the midline, will cause this. This is normal. Parietal foramina, which is usually a small foramina, can be large, like this. Look at this. These are all normal variant of parietal foramina. Venous lakes, we may think of them as bony lesions. Epidermoid within the bone. Again, it looks like leptomeningeal cyst here. This is a case of mine in one of the doctor's wives. Trauma causing bone loss. Supraosteal hematoma like this in children. The hematoma or cephalohematoma could be subgaleal, could be subperosteal underneath the perosteum, and it takes the shape of that particular bone. So this is one of them, taking the shape of the parietal bone here. There are holes. If you don't take history, you may think that these are bony lesions. Aneurysmal bone cyst looks like exactly like leptomeningeal cyst. Histocytosis, punched out areas like this. There are differences, of course, the edges of the bony defect, beveled outside, beveled inside, etc. But histocytosis will give you a picture similar to the leptomeningeal cyst. Histocytosis, like this, causing bony. And this is an advanced type of histocytosis. There are 4 types. This is the aggressive type, the malignant type. Osteomyelitis of the bone, tuberculosis of the bone, paper from, I think, India, echinococcus granulosus of the orbit. The other type of these leptomeningeal cysts is when the cyst happens in the orbital roof. So there's a fracture in the orbital roof, like this, that will develop into a leptomeningeal cyst. Look at this here. Linear fracture causes complete resorption of the bone and formation of a cyst into the orbit. So here we go into what is the differential diagnosis of this lesion in the orbit. Here, linear fracture, and this correction here. This is leptomeningeal cyst in the orbital roof due to trauma that was missed. The case of mine is this one, when the leptomeningeal cyst is in the roof of the orbit inside the bone. So it is intradiploic in the roof of the orbit, which is very, very unusual. I've looked into literature very rare. Orbital roof starts with fracture, like this, and then it widens, completely causing resorption of the bone. And there is a cyst inside the orbit. And again here we say, what is this? Is this a tumor or what? Or a lesion? From Iran, this paper about the leptomeningeal cyst in the roof of the orbit. You can see it pushing the eye downwards and forward. And again you can see the fracture line there. Fracture line going into the roof of the orbit in children. In children, the frontal sinus is not well developed, so the fracture line will go into the roof of the orbit instead of going into the sinus and dissipates. So you can see this linear fracture is developing into this bone defect. Another paper from USA, I think from Sacramento, the cyst there. From China, this paper with the fracture here in the roof of the orbit. So we have to be aware of this. And when you find a case like this, again, what is the differential diagnosis? Histocytosis of the roof of the orbit. And this one case of mine, which we presented in this room, actually in this room, you can see the lesion here, bony destruction. Is this a tumor or what? This was histocytosis. This is, of course, before surgery, and this is after surgery when we remove the lesion. This is the histology. Pyocele, pus in that area, very much looks like leptomeningeal cyst in the roof of the orbit. Aneurysmal bone cyst in the roof of the orbit. And this is, again, a case of mine. This one also represented here, aneurysmal bone cyst in the roof of the orbit going into the medial wall of the orbit. Extensive, multiple fluid levels, fluid level, causing massive destruction. We did the surgery for the little boy. And here's the follow-up. Metastasis from wherever, primary, as a mass in the roof of the orbit. Again, any orbital tumor like abdominal sarcoma in the roof of the orbit will mimic leptomeningeal cyst. Osteoma looks like the intradiploic leptomeningeal cyst, but it is a sternum, dermoid, and epidermoid. And this is one case of mine with dermoid in the orbit, and you can see the eye bulging. And this is after surgery. Cavernoma or hemangioma, sorry, before surgery and after surgery. Pseudotumor, orbit, granuloma, again the roof of the orbit like this, and osteoblastoma in that same location. Hematoma, simple hematoma of the orbit, looks like a cyst, leptomeningeal cyst. So the differential diagnosis, whether it is in the skull here, or in the roof of the orbit, you have to be careful about it. What is the management of these leptomeningeal cysts? Surgery is the most important thing. And you have to remember this, that the bone defect is smaller than the dural defect. So the dura is dissolved far away from the bone edges. You have to look, to close the dura, you have to find the edges of the dura. These usually are far away from the bony edges. It is microsurgery. You have to do duroplasty, and it has to be watertight. And then you have to do cranioplasty. Examples coming from China, 2012, about the treatment: craniotomy plus a duroplasty, cranioplasty, autologous bone, duroplasty, etc. All the
هناك
patients.
الديورة دكتور السوشيز ولا ايش
The dura is completely gone, so you will not find it. So the bone defect is here, and then you have to remove more bone so that you will reach to the dural edges. So you come with a certain amount of bone resorption, you will take more bone to make it bigger defect so that you will find the dural edges, so that you can close it. So here it is.
ما في adhesive.
You can use various types of artificial dura. You can take it from the patient, temporal fascia, fascia lata, or artificial dura. But here you can see the bone defect. You have to take more bone to see the edges of the dura, and then you close the dura and close the bone. So duroplasty and cranioplasty. So this is the bone defect. You have to remove. This is ugly bone, so you have to remove until you reach to the edges of the dural defect, like this. Again here, this is the picture. You open it, you find the dura, you suture the dura, and then make a cranioplasty. So
How do you make it watertight?
because this is the secret, because the lesion is because of the pulsations of the CSF. So if the CSF will find its way, it will just go again. So I have to stop these pulsations. I say if you drop one drop of water over a huge rock, it will dissolve it. CSF pulsation is the same. If it is contained within the dura, no problem. But if it reaches the bone, it will cause absorption of the bone. This is to recognize the early management. As we said, this is the disease of infants, newly born, or toddlers, children. So this is a 3-week-old male with this fracture. Maybe they have used instrumentation, forceps, or whatever. We don't know the mechanism. But it's early recognition and the treatment so that it will not develop into leptomeningeal cysts. Again, here inside the blood, look at the fracture line. The line here is gradually enlarging. 6 months later, bone is absorbed and the cyst develops. So you treat it with surgery as such. So this is the presentation. You open, find the bone edges, widen it, find the dural edges, close the dura, close the bone. Enter the fluid inside the bone. Same thing, bone is absorbed here. You again widen the bony defect, find the dura, close it, and move. The interdiploic lesions, like this. communicating hydrocephalus, and this is after treatment. So it is better to recognize it early and treat it early. Sometimes it is so difficult that you need to put a shunt. I hate shunt in general. I believe a good shunt is no shunt, but sometimes you need it. This is one of the lesions. Can we use endoscopy to treat these orbital lesions? Yes. And this is very nice paper. It's called Round-the-Clock Surgical Access to the Orbit Using the Endoscope. These are giants of endoscopy in the world: Paul Gardner, Miranda, Snyderman, and Joseph Marone. In the States, they are giants of surgery and endoscopy treatment of the orbital lesions. So they can go around the orbit using the endoscope. So not only surgery, but also microscopic surgery, also endoscopic surgery. So this is how they deal with the endoscopy of various orbital lesions, including leptomeningeal cysts. Before I start with the orbital with my series, Dr. Azman Hadidi, do you want to comment on the
The imaging for the differential, maybe we can add, for differential maybe we add vascular lesions like hemangioma or things, and osteomyelitis of the bone. Yes, this is what we can add on the differential.
One abscess or
osteomyelitis? We will concentrate now on the orbital lesions. My personal experience is on 126 cases, females more than males, tumors, malignant tumors, benign, malignant, and others including the leptomeningeal cysts. And the management here is to try to find the bony defect and the dural defect. Here I'm intradurally retracting the frontal lobe, and here I found that brain has gone through the bony defect to plug it. This is a protective mechanism. The brain goes and plug the bony defect. So I'm defining here that there is some fibrosed brain tissue going into the bony defect. I cut it with the bipolar thermy. So here is brain tissue, dead brain tissue, fibrosed, plugging the bony defect. Remember, this is frontal bone, this is the dura from inside. So intradural. So this is the bony defect and the dural defect. I take everything from inside and then I go outside, see the bone defect. This is periorbital, and then this is extradural and this is intradural. Make sure that the defect has been closed, the dura has been closed, and we close also the bony defect as such. Again, here the fracture line in the orbital rim. Remove the bone, find the dural edges, and then drill the bone. These are the sutures. We are drilling the bone so that we will put sutures and cover the dural defect with periosteum. So this is periosteum covering the dural defect. And we put a glue over the dura to prevent CSF leak. So it has to be watertight dural closure. Some cases of orbital leptomeningeal cyst. Again, we have to remember the anatomy. The rule of 7 in the orbit: 7 bones, 7 arteries, 7 veins, 7 nerves. And the roof of the orbit is made by the orbital plate of the frontal bone. So the lesion will be here. This is different from the blown out fracture of the orbit floor. This is a totally different story. So this is the roof of the orbit, and you can see sometimes it can be thin. Roof of the orbit, made by the orbital plate of the frontal bone. And this is the common tendinous origin, the muscles arising from that. This is the roof of the orbit. The bony roof has been removed, and we are looking at the periorbital of the orbit, and this is the frontal branch. sitting over the superior rectus elevated palpebral superioris. Case, this boy from West Bank, Jordan, Palestine, 5 years, male patient, he presented with this. Look at how the eyeball is pushed downwards and forwards, proptosis. History, yes, he had a fall. He's now 5 years, but he had a fall 2 years ago, 2 years before that. So he was referred to me as an orbital tumor. Doing CT scan, you can see there is bony defect here, some laceration of the brain here, and this so-called tumor into orbit. Look at the swelling. So I did surgery to lower the roof of the orbit. It was really completely absorbed. We did cranioplasty, replace the bone, replace the dura. So this is the picture pre-op, this is the picture post-op.
أين تقطع هنا؟ فوق الأيبرو؟
No, that's the lead. My cranial incision, my coronal incision. I reflect the skull this way, I look at the bone and go there. So it is frontal or fronto-orbital craniotomy. Another case, a 42-year-old female, again came with this, referred to me as a mass. In fact, it was diagnosed as rhabdomyosarcoma. So again, look there, this is a mass. It's an orbital mass. What is the differential diagnosis? Again, you look at the bony defect, we repaired it, and this is the patient afterwards. So it was leptomeningeal cyst. The same case. The last one is this 35-year-old male patient. Again, this is, you would not think of leptomeningeal cyst here. Everybody thought that this is a tumor, and he was referred to me. You can see the amount of pressure on the globe. But there is a fracture there. There is bony loss. So, what is that? We would picture the patient. You can see his eye. This is the best way to see proptosis, to look from above the head of the patient. This eye is there, this eye is proptosed. You can see it here, you can see it there, you can see it from the left side. Again, we did the same, explore it, repair the dura, repair the bone, and there he is in different stages of follow-up. The peculiar thing about this case, that this was not simple leptomeningeal cyst. This was leptomeningeal cyst that got infected because of some communication with the frontal sinus. It was aspergilloma, aspergillus fugax type of fungus infection. So in addition to doing the surgery, we treated him with antifungal treatment, and as you can see, he made very good recovery. So this is the end of the lecture, and these are some pictures of the spring in Jordan. We are in the spring now. It's for our international audience to see that we have a beautiful spring here. So enjoy the spring. Thank you very much. Any comments, questions?
طبعا أولا أشكرك دائما على محاضراتك، وأنا حريصة على أن أحضر دائما وأستمتع بهذا العرض الجميل. السؤال، عندما تجري عمليات أنت كما أجريتها هنا في الحجاج، هل تستعين بطبيب عيون؟ هل ترى هنالك حاجة أم أنك واثق في نفسك؟
I was trained to do orbital surgery as a neurosurgeon. So it was part of my training. And orbital surgery was part of our training. So I'm happy to do it at all. But medico-legally, I have to have ophthalmologists with me. And sometimes I also get a facial auxiliary surgeon with me. Most of the time I don't need them, but if they are there, they will be more than welcome.